I was like, where's my request? Why is it not popping up? Yeah,
No, I'm
limit.
glad you were able to come back on, because I was like, we opened a whole lot of cans.
Yeah, it's an hour limit on Instagram. Instagram's like, no, y'all long-winded. Y'all too long-winded.
We were going hard. It needed to happen. Like, this was so needed, especially right now. And I'm just really glad that we were able to do this. I really am.
Me too.
I really
love
am.
having these type of conversations, and I feel like getting into what you were just saying about how we need to have more of these type of conversations as Black Americans amongst ourselves, and that also we need to start having these conversations with, you know, the kids, you know, the younger generations. Yeah. Because what I was gonna say when we cut off was, I feel like for a lot of us that are over a certain age, I feel like anybody over Gen Z, like I'm a millennial, so I feel like Gen Z is getting it a little bit different right now, and then the generations under them. But I feel like most of us over a certain age were raised with certain types of mindsets.
Yes.
Everybody, I guess, around like culture and around like, you know, like Pan-Africanism and around like the diaspora and even, you know, being Black and what that means and all these things. And I think a lot of us now are starting to have these type of conversations where we weren't having these conversations previously, you know, like it's true. Like when I was a kid, it was like, Black is Black, like everybody Black, we all in this together. Like, and not to say that that's changed, because like we are still all in this together in a lot of ways, but I do think we need to be comfortable having the conversation of, you know, I have my culture, I have my ethnicity, you have your culture, you have your ethnicity. Our respective cultures don't have to revolve around the white gaze, and just because we're both Black doesn't mean we're having the exact same Black experience. And even with that, you can even get outside of culture, like like conversations that people have been having about colorism, and you know, we are different shades, so we're having a different Black experience. We're different
like you
genders.
can be biracial,
right?
You can be biracial, and that's okay.
Like, we're all having different experiences. Gender, sexuality, able-bodiedness, all these things play into the experiences that we're having. Yes. And we should be able to have these type of conversations without getting immediately shut down of just, we all Black, we all the same. Like, why y'all trying to talk that talk? Like, why y'all trying to have that conversation?
Why are you being divisive? Why are you being divisive? Don't be divisive.
That's what I think anytime. I just think of like their whole face melting, like, why are you being divisive? Anytime someone says that, that's all I think of. Like, your face is melting, you know that, right? Like,
it's interesting that you said like millennials, because I'm an older millennial. I'm like in the first wave of the millennials. Yeah. And I was born in 82.
Oh yeah.
And my husband's of the previous generation, and like the way that he and people like that were in high school in the 90s versus those of us who were like little kids in the 90s, it's drastically different.
It's very different.
It's very, very different. The way that they approach all of this and their perspectives, and like, you know, Reagan and just all of it, it's very different. And so us now being millennials, and we have the next generation coming behind us, like realizing and putting some personal responsibility. Like I said, it goes back to the work of having these conversations with our kids, because their identity and how they see themselves is different. You know, their erasure is very, very, very aggressive.
Yeah,
with them.
It is. I first really noticed, because so every year Time magazine, they do a list of banned words. And I remember one year somebody was like, all these words that you guys have banned are like Black American, like slang terminology, like all the words that you guys are banning because you're like tired of them. And then all these people got in an argument, and I was just like watching. All these people got in an argument that they were like, no, those words are not slang words. They're not black words. They're just internet words, internet terms, all this, that, like, you know, it's just
internet terms.
It's just things that like young people say. It's like, no, like,
we can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear
me? There we
now?
go.
Yeah.
Now I can hear you.
I don't know why my sound keeps going out. That's really weird. but it's like on fleek came from somewhere. Like, it
Yes.
came from somewhere. It came from like a Black American girl in Chicago. That's how it got on the internet, and then it went viral. It took off. Everybody started using it, but you can't just be like, oh, it didn't come from anywhere. And so I think with the internet and social media, a lot of people are picking up on the fact that Black American culture gets sort of consumed and like
Oh,
disseminated around in like extremely fast
so
time.
fat.
And
Yes.
so we're finally starting to also see more Black Americans have this conversation around consumption, because also when we talk about consumption, we're talking about capitalism and this idea of like you have to endlessly consume and consume and consume. And I'm finally seeing Black Americans having conversations around consumption and the consumption of culture and cultural capital and all these things in a
Yes.
way that definitely when I was even a teenager, you know, let alone a kid, was not ever talked about. Never. Like, never. And now
Yeah.
people are having those conversations. And I do think that it also makes people uncomfortable because, you know, just like the saying, like when you're used to, what is this, like when you're used to being able to do something, or when you're used to, you know, getting more, when you're used to
Oh yeah, when
privilege.
you're in a position of power, or when you're the oppressor and someone asks for equality or for,
It feels
then
like
it feels like
oppression.
they're being oppressed.
Right.
I
It
say
feels
that
like
a lot.
oppression. I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
people are dealing with that right now because
Yeah.
a lot of people feel like, and even black people, non-American Black people, for so long have been able to consume Black American culture and with no ramifications, with no pushback, with
At
no
all.
anything. And so it's
Yeah.
just not something that people are used to. And then
Yeah.
when you have Black Americans pushing back, be it against a white person, a non-Black person of color, or a non-American Black, when you have us pushing back, people feel hurt. They feel hurt and like
Hurt.
personally offended. Like as if you did something to them, you're trying to take something away from them. Like, how can I take something away from you that doesn't even belong to you? Like you already feel like you're up here and I'm down here. That's why you're so offended.
I've been saying that I'm really happy that more and more, I was telling my husband, I was like, more and more Black women, more and more Black people are speaking up about the things that people use and take from us, and they use it like a costume, they use it like a mask.
Yeah.
We are actually speaking up about it because, we've been through so much, and we've seen what our ancestors have gone through, and we've seen what happened in just, 30, 40 years behind. And we're going, you know what, wait a minute. This has gone on far enough. We need to start having these conversations and putting some teeth when we say, I'm not with this shit, I'm not going to allow it. But
Right.
It goes back to that sense of identity, right? And your sense of self-esteem. We have to feel like we have the right to say, this is who I am, this is my identity, this is my culture, and I am a gatekeeper. And I dare you to say something to me about it. I say that all the time. People, who are you to say? Who
What
am
do you
I
mean?
not to?
I say that all the time too. Who are you to gatekeep Black American culture? I am the nigga. Like I am the what is it? The Negro delegation. Like I am a part of the Negro delegation. Yes, I do have a right to fucking gatekeep this shit. Like sorry.
I've been nominated,
Sorry.
self-nominated, and I'm going to wield, yeah, and
Like,
I
I don't
do.
care. And it's weird to me because I feel like other people, like I feel like Black Americans don't do that. Like,
We don't.
I do not, like, I never feel like I never feel left out. When I see other types of people, Black people talking about their culture and stuff, I don't feel left out. I really never feel left out. And I think other types of Black culture are like really, really cool and beautiful. Like I went through this phase of being like really into like weddings of like globally, like all around the world. So I was looking at like Indian weddings. I was looking at like Nigerian weddings because like people have like very specific wedding culture. And I'm like into learning about different types of cultures. I've never at any point looked at a wedding and felt like I'm being left out. Like,
Yes.
if I get married in the United States, or when we get married here, we don't do XYZ thing, whatever thing. We don't paint henna on ourselves and participate in this like ritual. I feel left out. but it's like people, when you say to them like, no, this is my culture, they feel left out. Oh, I see that somebody said it's a part of self-hate.
You're absolutely right. It's the lack of self-esteem
I agree
because
with
we
that.
don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Listen, I've had people, close people to me say, well, you don't want to be too exclusionary. And I'm like, why not? I respect, like you said, cultures around the world because they have their own identity. There is beauty in difference. There is beauty that deserves to be preserved by exerting difference and showing respect for said difference. And if I'm not allowing myself to do that, I am being, and who I am in the cultural sense is being consumed and erased.
And erased.
We are experiencing erasure because of the consumption of our culture. And I'm not with that shit. And I've never heard a valid argument for why it's okay for that to happen to us. But you don't have a problem going to Chinatown. You don't have a problem going to Little Orleans.
It's because people have an issue with Black Americans specifically. Like deep
You're
down, they really genuinely believe that number one, we're supposed to be at the bottom. We're the mule. We have nothing. And at the same time, any little bit of anything that we do get is supposed to be up for grabs for everybody. Because historically, when Black Americans have gotten any little thing, everybody has gotten ahead. So everybody collectively feels entitled. I see the question, Sarah Love. Do I think first and second gen African and Caribbean Americans can be considered culture vultures in the same vein as a Cardi B? Yes, I do. Maybe not in the same vein as a Cardi B specifically, because she's not Black at all. So she's like
boom,
a blackface type girl. So not in the sense of like the blackface, but the culture vulturing, yes, I think it's the same. I think it's the same. Yes, I do. I think that
your volume's low.
Is it? Can you hear me? Can you hear
I
me?
can hear you, but it's just really low. I don't know if
low?
it's low for anybody else.
I don't know what happened. I haven't moved anything. My phone keeps getting hot, and I think it's like,
well, we can
overheating.
wrap it. I don't know. I don't want it to, this has been really amazing.
Yeah,
and I feel like we got into so much.
Yes, we did. I mean, we've been on for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we got on.
I did want to address some of these. Oh, you can hear me? I did
want
to address like some of these, because some of what you guys are saying is like really interesting. So there's like a couple of these. I do agree that it's culture vulturing. Yes. I saw somebody say, do they think we should start jumping the broom again? I mean, I know a lot of people that never stopped jumping the broom.
I jumped the broom at my wedding. I did.
Did you get married in California?
No, we got married in Playa Grande in Costa Rica. Our whole family, well, like 25 people came. We spent almost a whole week in Costa Rica doing adventurous stuff, and we had the whole place to ourselves, and we had our music loud, and we jumped in the pool and did a Soul Train line in the pool, and we were drunk and in our clothes, and that shit, it was like,
that sounds fun.
It was.
We need cultural borderlines. There's nothing wrong with having our own things and spaces. Jumping the broom is unique to Black Americans. We're experiencing, somebody said our culture has been taken from us since minstrel shows. They're
Absolutely.
taking our culture and covering it with inclusion. Yeah. And that's what I mean too when I say like it's historic, like it's not new. Like when you read about how like on plantations they would literally listen to like the songs and the music that like the slaves were playing, and then they would hire a white singer, a white instrumentalist to like basically do like a cover, like sing their own version. And then like that, a lot of those versions of a lot of like these like Southern songs that we hear, Battle Hymn of the Republic and all that stuff, a lot of songs came from like the Black Americans, the slaves, and literally was co-opted and turned into like a quote-unquote white Southern classic. It's happened with food, music. It's happened with everything. Our whole culture gets like rooted and sort of reaped and raped and colonized. And I feel like everyone adopts that mindset about Black Americans regardless of race. I feel like everyone that's not a Black American adopts that mindset about us and our culture. That's just how I feel. And I feel like
I agree.
A lot of people don't really want to think about that or get into that, and it's definitely something that still goes on to this day. Absolutely. So yeah,
I would agree.
This was awesome.
This was really great. I'm
Don't forget,
so
our names
glad that
are
you had
really
the
long
time.
Yes, this is awesome. Thank you so much. Maybe we can do it again, but we're definitely gonna for sure do some other things as well. I tried to record this. It kept cutting off because we kept cutting off. Hopefully I'm able to upload it on
I don't know if
YouTube.
anybody did, if anyone was able to screen record it. You
Yeah.
can send me pieces.
Yes.
I
If
wanted to
anyone was
put it
able
on
to.
YouTube, but maybe we'll do one on YouTube.
Yeah.
It might be easier. I'm not that good with it, and I
I'm not either.
couldn't figure it out.
I'm actually horrible with it. Anytime I go live, I don't even use the computer. I go live on like my phone or my iPad because I cannot figure it out. So, but we'll see.
But no, whenever you're ready, I would absolutely love to do this with you again. Everybody, check Seren's videos out on
Yes.
YouTube. It's her same name.
Same name here. And also, if you guys look on my page, all my information's there. My Cash App is there. My YouTube is there. My Patreon is there. But pretty much everything is under this same exact name. So for any of you guys that want to check out my stuff, you should be able to find it under this name.
Please do.
Yes.
Please do. And everything that I have is under the same name. I have like 5 videos, but they're very like practical knowledge about Costa Rica. They're not, you know, so political, I guess, but I don't know. I'm going to have to like, you know, think about what direction
You want to go
I'm
on?
going, because it's just kind of developing on its own. I do spiritual counseling as well as relocation counseling. And I'm just happy to be in the space that I'm in doing the work. Everybody just do your work. Know yourself. Do your work.
In the words
please.
of the great Toni Morrison, do your work. There, I just put my Cash App too for anyone that wants to see it.
Please.
And Paizo, put my
Paizal.
ad name. Paizal, thank you. Sorry, them extra. It was like 2 O's. I was like, ooh, ow. Put my at name as well. You can also
I'm gonna pin you.
my YouTube by that as well. And I think that's everything. Yeah.
Awesome.
Right,
I'm on every Friday. Let me know when you want to do it again, Seren. This was awesome. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you for everyone watching.
Oh, and hey, Navi Heda Jojoba. She actually I did my first major interview with her on her channel. We talked about, you know, just the practical questions and some of the other questions on Project Exodus. Shout out to UT. I really appreciate you. She's on YouTube. Navi Heda Jojoba. You can scroll through and see her at. That's what she is on YouTube. And this has been great, you guys. I really appreciate you all.
And commenting. Thank you guys so much. All right.
Bye.
Bye.